So I have a Skankfest story to tell. I'm gonna try and do it without being too dog brain. But this was the sixth one I've been to. So I went to the last New York, Houston, and three Vegases. But I've made lots of friends over the years. And Friday morning, the first thing I did was I wasn't gonna go to Skanks because just the line is crazy, and you probably like I did the walk, and that was fun. But I saw my friend Erin and her friend Sandra in line for merch. And so I just stood in line and was hanging out with her. And then uh, she knows I'm a broke ass bitch. So she bought me a deck of the tarot cards. And I was like blown away. I wanted to cry. And then later that night, I went to the Creek and Cave room because I thought Dave Temple was going to be there, but he wasn't there yet. But Brian Holtzman came out. And he had me laughing so hard I didn't think I'd be able to laugh at all the rest of the weekend because my sides hurt. And he said something about he hadn't seen his poster yet, and that was one of the things from last year. One of my favorite things was Sunday night. Butterly was kind of hanging around, and I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "I never got to see my poster," and I had been taking pictures, so I thought I had a picture of his poster, and I was like scrolling, and he was like kind of excited to see it, and I didn't have a picture. So you think I would have learned my fucking lesson on this shit, but he's like, "It's okay. I think I know the artist. I'll do it." But so I'm like, I have this deck of tarot cards. I can show him what his poster looks like. And then he was walking by, and I was like, I should have found it before, but I was worried. So I just ran up and I was like, I can show you your poster. And so he's kind of standing there, and then Chris O'Connor was right there, and Holtzman was like, "Go in the light." So I'm over there, and I found Chris's first and showed him. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" And so I got to show Holtzman his, and then I saw Colin walk by, and then Jamar Neighbors was standing right there, and I'm like, I'm just gonna. And I had found a fucking Sharpie on the walk over the parade, so I'm like, I get people to sign these, and so I got Jamar to sign his. He didn't. He was like, "What?" He's kind of confused about what his was too. And then I saw Colin later, and I was like, "Hey, go!" And I had his on top because he was like kind of around, so I'm like, I don't want to be awkwardly standing there going through the deck. And so before I even asked Colin, he's like, "It looks nothing like me." He's like, "It's some bullshit." It's like, "I'm gonna talk to somebody about this shit." And so then I was sitting with Aaron and Sandra, and Jorge was there too. And Sandra knows tarot, so she was going through the deck and telling me what all the cards meant. And it was kind of funny, like how it related to the comics that were on them. Not that I remember any of it, but um, Ian was walking by, and I was like, "Oh, Ian," and he's like, "I'll be back, I'll be back." And then he came back and signed his card, and then I saw Figs. He's like, "Don't even bother, I'm not in there. It's fucking bullshit. There's people in there that shouldn't be in there," which it is bullshit. And then later that night, I saw Sydney Gannett, and Erin was there, and she was like my uh I forget the word is. She had my back, because she was like talk to the comic while I'm trying to find their card, and he wasn't in there, which is fucking crazy. And so I'm like, well, that sucks. I got to look at this deck and make sure I know who's in here before I ask people to sign them. And then fucking first thing Saturday morning. Oh, well, also Friday night, me and Aaron and Sandra tried to get the hookup to use the bathrooms inside, and because there was no toilet paper, there was no water in the sinks, and we told the volunteer girl was like, "I'm sorry, I can't." Like, and I was like, "Well, just to let you know, there's no toilet paper, there's no water, there hasn't been for hours." And then when we went back out, there's a case of toilet paper. So the naked roast was going on, and I'm like, okay, that's about to let out, and then everybody's gonna flood out, and we're gonna go watch the goddamn comedy jam. So I was the little fairy and put toilet paper in all all the porta potties. Some of them were bad. Some of them, the toilet seat was just completely off and all this shit. But then, I don't. I'm sure everybody knows what happened with the naked roast and the comedy jam Friday night. But then Saturday morning, I saw Rainey, who knew my name when I saw him Thursday. The people I was with were like, "Oh, let's go say hi to Rainey." And he's like, "Hey, Chelsea," and he gave me a hug. I was like, "You know my name? Oh yeah, you're sober." Like, it blew me away. But and so and I had meant to go on the tour that he did, of like serial killer museum or some shit. I don't know, but I was so bummed out about the comedy gym and not crack because crack didn't go up at all that I couldn't sleep that night, and I was like, my roommates were going, but I was like, if I don't sleep a couple more hours, I'm gonna be useless today. So I saw him, and I was like, I really bummed out I missed that, and then I wanted him to sign his card because I for sure Rainey's in there. Nope. He patiently stood there while I went through the deck twice, and he was not in there. So I'm like, this fucking sucks. And but I had a good feeling. It was a beautiful day. I went to go to the porta potty, and they were clean. There was toilet paper in all of them, thanks to somebody. But I'm sitting there peeing. I'm like, this is gonna be a great day. It's Saturday, and there's security cards behind me because there's like a row. I think there was trailers back there for like some of the comics that didn't want to necessarily hang out in the green room because I saw Zach go back that way and Scott Thompson, which I I bet there's some stories. But there's like these security guards talking about some bullshit, and that was making me laugh. And then so I get up and I go, I have my phone sitting on top of the deck of tarot cards. And my phone, I went to pick up my phone and it stuck to the deck and it pulled and it bounced off the rim of the porta potty and most of the deck went in the water. And I was like, no, no, it's not real. It's not real. And I had a flashback to last year because there was a deck of cards last year and somebody's was in there. And I was like, oh, that sucks so bad. But that person did the right thing. They left him in there. What do you think I did? I started scooping them out, and it was first thing in the morning, so it was pretty much clean. There was one little turd in there, and it was still warm. So I pulled them all out, and then I was wiping them off with the toilet paper, and I had them all spread out. I was like, this is hilarious, but you should never tell anybody. And then like part of the deck that fell on the floor, and it was still in the top half was like the ones I wanted to get signed the most. It had Joe List, Crack and Miko, Scott Thompson, and it had the Harlem Williams card, which I wanted to get the all three Do-Rag Boys to sign since there wasn't a card of theirs, and then he canceled. I mean, I thought that was but Lewis was in there too, and I think Big J, but I had them all spread out as I was wiping them off, and then one card fell in twice, and I picked it up, and it was Rosebud Baker, and then Matt McCusker's went behind the seat. It fell behind. And there was like the back of the porta potty was kind of cracked. And I started pushing it a little bit and I could see the security guard. And I was like, oh shit. Like if they see that, what are they gonna think if they see like the back of this porta potty coming open? So it was like some fucking Mission Impossible shit where I was trying to slowly push it because I couldn't leave McCusker's card. If I already went through all this shit to get this whole deck back, I can't lose McCusker's card. So I'm like pushing it slowly and trying to reach down, and I got it out. And then I'm like, okay, now what am I gonna do with them? But Sandra had bought me one of the white Skank You bags, and I put the cards. They dried pretty quick, but they were still kind of damp. So I put all those in that bag and just tried to let them dry for the day. I tried not to think about it. Tried not to cry or laugh, and I was like, just don't ever tell anybody this. And there was still water. It was first thing in the morning, so I washed my hands like 5 times, then coated them with sanitizer, and was like, just trying not to be completely bummed out. But also, I think it was like the best thing that happened because it was just kind of shitty to awkwardly stand there with a comic, like going through the deck trying to get him to sign it. And I like every Skank Fest, I try to avoid the comics, like unless it's somebody that I really, really love and have something cool to say or really want a picture with. Like I try to avoid them. So like I didn't. It's probably the best thing that could have happened. But yeah, that's my tarot cards Skank Fest story. I had some really good moments with other comics. Um, like I've avoided Kim since Houston. Because first thing Houston, Dylan was still producing for No Need for Apologies, so I introduced myself to him, and I had just gotten the stupid tattoos, and one of them was No Need for Apologies, and he was really cool. And then Sunday night, when we were still taking down the posters, ironically, there was a Joe Gorman poster that I wanted, but it was up too high, and Dylan was right there, And so I was like, "Hey Dylan, can you get that for?" And Kim was like, "Hey Dylan, hey Dylan." She's making fun of me, and it broke my heart. And so like I've like kind of avoided her. She's probably like it's Sunday night. She's probably fucked up and didn't like she. I don't think she meant it maliciously or anything, but still, I'm just like I'm gonna stay away from Kim. But this year, before I went to Goodwill with my friend, because I was trying to find like some really cool shoes and then I saw these hats, and one of them was this cute hat, and I was like, it reminded me of Kim. I'm like, it would be so gay, but like she would look cute in it. And Sunday night, I had never gone to any of the strip clubs after parties, but a couple of my friends said that they were going, and I wanted to say bye to them, so I went, and I was like regretting it instantly. But then Drew came out, and then Kim and Mike Rainey and Mike Feeney, not right. Butterly were there. Butterly also knew my name. I ran into him, had a moment with him Friday morning before the parade because I went. My friend's mom was said she wanted to fight, so we went over and she was thinking about signing up to fight, and I'm sitting there like taking way too long to make my coffee, and somebody came up right next to me and was like, "That was kind of rude." It's like it's more rude of me to stand here taking forever making my cup of coffee, and then I look over and it was Butterly. He was like, "What's up, Chelsea?" And I was like, "Oh my god, you know my name too? What the fuck?" But so Butterly was, and I had my Broad Topic shirt on, and I was like, and I had the hat for Kim, maybe Kim, in my bag. So I pulled it out. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be really gay." And then I showed her my shirt, and she's like, "Oh my god, And Alex was standing there. She's like, "Alex, look." And I took the hat. I was like, "Do you like this?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's so cute." And I was like, "Well, I got it at Goodwill and I wore it today." But she's like, "Do you want me to sign it?" And I was like, "No, I want you to have it." And she's like, "Oh my god!" She gave me a big hug, and then she was wearing it the rest of the night. So that was fucking awesome. And also, Feeny was there, who uh Thursday night, um, I thought I'd be able to just take the trolleys, and apparently I missed the trolley that was going towards the Airbnb, and so I went back up. The top balcony was wide open, so I was sitting there, and there was this blonde chick that was just going hardcore in the mosh pit. And I got some footage of it. I should post it, but she was like just pushing everybody and having the time of her life. And like the dudes were kind of looking around like, "Fuck this bitch," and like they would push her back and like look around to see if they got in trouble for it. And it was making me laugh so hard because I was like very high. And then I was like, I'm gonna go down there. Like I'm gonna push her back like they can't. But not really. I didn't want to hurt her or anything. But oh, also before that, she knocked a couple people over for sure. Like she went behind the speaker, and all of a sudden I saw legs. I couldn't see what happened, but I just saw legs. She knocked somebody over. And I'm like, I gotta go down there. I gotta see what's going on. And then fucking Feeney was standing right there. I was like, "Dude, you see this blonde chick?" And he's like, "What?" But then I saw his set later, and he talked about a guy that got slammed. He's like, he's got slammed hard and hurt his elbow or something, then left and came back and got slammed. And he's like, "So if you find this guy, let me know if he's alive." And then Friday night, I thought I had found him because he was like talking to this other guy, Raul, who I made out with on the first Vegas VIP party. Like me and him made out. But he's like, "This guy saved my life last night." It's like, oh damn. And I'm like, "Wait, did you get slammed pretty hard?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "My friend brought me here, and I don't know what the fuck's going on, but Hatebreed's one of my favorite bands, so I was trying to murder everybody." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not cool." He's like, "You guys are all getting scammed. You think these people are so great?" And he had like made up names for all the comedians that he thought were hilarious. And I'm just like, that's not the energy I really want to be around. But I got a picture with him. So that was another thing that happened Sunday night was I got to tell Feeny that I found the dude and about that guy. And um I'm trying to think. Oh, and Dave Temple fucking was awesome. Um he's one I ended up seeing his set like 3 different times, and he did a couple of the same jokes, but he had a different set almost every time. And like it is kind of a bummer when you see somebody and they do the exact same set, but it's also cool to see like the crowd reacting to it. And none of it's bad. None of it's bad comedy. I didn't see any bad comedy all weekend. And then another regret was like I think it was Saturday. It might have been Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday because it was a pink suit. But Crack was hanging out watching the fights, and that was like one of the best things last year is I got to hang out with him a little bit each day. But I had met this black chick earlier, and she was really fucking cool, and she said she was going up in the creek in the cave room, so I wanted to show up for her, and so I sat in there for over 30 minutes, and she never came out. So I miss hanging out with Crack to go see that, but that's Skankfest. You can't regret stuff like that. Like, you know, people have a if that's another like I would love to hear everybody's regrets or like embarrassing moments maybe. That's a little hard to tell. The highlights and also like something that they wish would have happened. Like the first year I met Angel was first Vegas. He wasn't volunteering yet, and I'm talking like everybody knows what I'm talking about. But if you know Angel, you know Angel. But he had this fantasy of being drenched when we went to see Matt and Shane. He was gonna jump in the pool, and I was like, dude, you won't be drenched. You'll just be damp, and nobody will be able to tell. Like we gotta like dump water on you right before the show, so you're dripping. And but then we're like, yeah, security probably won't. They'll be like, what the fuck are these people doing? And so we didn't do it, but it was like a little fantasy that he had, and I heard a couple silly ones like that this year that I don't know, I think it'd be fun for people to say like, oh, like I wish I could have done this, like if I had this chance. Melissa, mom, she got to do her thing. She's a big fan of Greer Barnes, and I think I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday. She got to walk up to him and like say, "Give me all your money," because I guess one of his jokes is talking about how white women should just rob black men all the time or something. So she got to have her moment with him, and that's fucking awesome. But it was magic, like it is every year. I don't want to say it was the best one yet because they're all great. They've all been great. Um, and there's so many more stories, but I'm gonna leave it there. This is already too long. All right.